Now, this isn't easy, but if you're serious about making a change and you're sick and tired of spinning your wheels, I want to show you what's really possible when you fully lock in. So full screen the video and let's get into it. Straight off the bat, I'll say that dropping 5% body fat in 30 days is not your run-of-the-mill fitness goal. It's not the same as starving yourself for a few days so you lose a few pounds of water weight before a holiday. We're talking about burning real fat, the stubborn stuff that clings to your belly and your love handles. Fat loss isn't magic, it's maths. And unfortunately, the first step is where most guys screw up. You need to know your TDEE. That stands for total daily energy expenditure. Basically, how many calories you burn in a day when you add everything up. Not just the calories that you burn working out, I'm talking about everything. Walking around, using your brain at work, living your life. And what most guys do is guess, or they pick some random number like 1,500 calories that they've heard on a YouTube video. But that's why they either lose nothing or they crash and burn because they're starving. Here's what you want to do instead. Take your body weight in pounds, multiply it by 15, and then subtract 750. So say you're 200 pounds right now. Multiply that by 15 is 3,000. Then subtract 750 is 2,250. That puts you in a semi-aggressive 750 calorie deficit. And if you stick to that, you're going to burn anything from 1.5 to 2 pounds of fat every single week. So realistically, in the next 4 weeks, you could burn up to 8 pounds of fat. And that deficit is enough to burn the fat fast without you having to worry about hallucinating at 2 a.m. about donuts. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Dropping your calories even more, say into 1,000 calorie deficit, might be tempting, but it's a trap. And I promise you, if you do that, you won't get anywhere faster. You'll feel wrecked, you'll lose your energy, and your metabolism will slow down to counteract it. And ultimately, when those three things happen, you end up quitting. The goal isn't to starve yourself. The goal is to create a controlled and sustainable deficit so that your body dips into the fat stores rather than fighting you every step of the way. Now, once your calories are set, protein is your next mission. But I'm not talking about nibbling on a couple of chicken strips and thinking the job's done. Think of protein like your insurance policy. It keeps the muscle on your frame while you lose the fat. Not only that, it keeps you feeling full, so you're not rummaging through the fridge like a raccoon. And it even burns more calories than carbs and fat when you're digesting it. So we're going to aim to put you on a high protein diet. And what that looks like in reality is that you want to aim for 1 gram of protein for every pound that you weigh. So if you weigh 200 pounds, that's 200 grams of protein. Now, I appreciate that that might sound like a lot, but let me kind of lay out exactly how it could look for you. It could be eggs and turkey bacon for breakfast, Greek yogurt with some blueberries as a morning snack, the classic chicken, rice and broccoli for lunch, a protein shake in the afternoon, and then dinner could be steak, fish, or lean mince. It's not fancy, but boring works. And more importantly, it keeps your muscles on when the fat comes off. So you actually look good rather than just smaller. Next, we want to get you up and we want to get you out and we want to get you walking, because this is what really moves the needle, guys. Your steps, which is the biggest component of what we call NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, burns far more calories than your workouts ever will. I actually talked about this in my last video where I said that most fitness trackers are wildly overestimating the number of calories that people are burning during a workout. Most people think they're burning 500 or even 1,000 calories in an hour-long workout, and the reality is it's 200 to 300. But I've had more clients lose more weight doing 12,000 steps a day than from smashing themselves in the gym, because the gym might burn 300 calories a session. So if you're doing 3 of those a week, that's 900. But if you do 12,000 steps a day, that's going to add up to 3,000, maybe even 4,000 calories in a week. Now, I say that range because the number of calories that you burn doing anything is actually dependent on your size. The bigger you are, the more calories that you burn. So if you're on the heavier side, this actually favors you even more. Now, normally, if you've watched any of my other videos, you would have heard me say that I recommend 8,000 steps a day. But this is an aggressive 30-day plan. So set yourself a target of 12,000. And pro tip, get yourself a calendar. You need to hold yourself accountable. So what you want to do is tick off every day that you hit. The goal is to not break your streak. And whatever you do, don't tell me, and more importantly, don't tell yourself that you're too busy. Remember what I said in the very first sentence of this video. If you are ready to fully lock in and fully focus, this is what you're going to have to do. And the best part about walking is that you can multitask while you're doing it. Whether it's work calls, taking the dog out, walking the kids, getting them outside and off the PlayStation, listening to audiobooks, podcasts, or playlists, phoning your friend, phoning your mum. I promise you, if you put real focus and attention into this, there is absolutely time to do 12,000 steps a day. I appreciate not every single day is the same, and there are going to be some days where it's going to be a real stretch and a real struggle. But guess what? There's a reason that most guys cannot do this. Anyway, the next piece of the puzzle is your training. This is the sexy bit. Let's go. But you don't want to be training for fat loss. You want to be training for muscle retention. You see, muscle is a little bit like a secret weapon. It's a metabolic cheat code, because the more muscle that you have or that you keep, the faster your metabolism is going to be. Muscle is living tissue. It requires energy to stay alive, unlike fat, which is just like a storage unit. So you want to be lifting heavy weights 4 days a week, but you don't want to overcomplicate your training. Keep it simple. In fact, the simpler you keep it, the better it's going to be. Do upper body day, lower body day, rest, upper body day, lower body, and then take the weekend off to fully recover. Of course, if you need to move things around and do one of your workouts on a Saturday or Sunday, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But please understand, your rest and recovery is just as, if not more important than your training itself. Focus on the big compound movements, your squats, your deadlifts, your lunges, your hip thrusts, your pull-ups, your push-ups, your presses, your rows, the exercises that work the biggest muscles and enable you to move the most weight. Don't faff about with endless bicep curls or crunches. Those are isolation movements that burn next to no calories. Keep your sessions under an hour and keep the intensity high. Rest periods between 60 to 90 seconds and keep off your phone. I was in the gym this morning, and the two mistakes that I see people make every single day, whichever gym I'm training in on that day, are that they're faffing about for 5 minutes between their sets. And then when they're doing their sets, they're lifting light weights and they're doing half reps. I want you to enjoy your training, but trust me, the most enjoyable training sessions are the ones where you feel like you're making progress. Don't just go in there so that you can feel like you've ticked a box. And then every week, just try to add a little bit of weight or an extra couple of reps. That's what we call progressive overload. And very simply put, it's how we keep your muscles growing. Then for cardio. Listen, I'm not anti-cardio, but you don't need to turn yourself into a hamster, because too much cardio actually raises your stress hormone, your cortisol. It lowers your testosterone, and it makes you hungrier than a grizzly bear coming out of hibernation. So just keep it moderate. 2 to 3 sessions a week, 20 to 30 minutes. And probably the best thing to do is just to add some incline treadmill at the end of your workouts. Or if you want a bit more of a full body blast, you can jump on the rower. Just remember that cardio is just a tool. It's not your main weapon. Sure, it helps speed up fat loss a little bit, but the real magic happens from your deficit, from your steps, and from your lifting. Now let's talk about the silent assassin of fat loss: hidden calories and the booze. Alcohol is like pouring petrol on a dumpster fire. It wrecks your sleep, it makes you crave junk food, it inflames your body, it lowers your drive, and it completely inhibits your ability to stay on track. And truth be told, if you're serious about dropping 5% in the next 30 days, you just want to cut it out completely. I'm not saying it's forever, just 30 days. And watch out for the hidden calories, because they are everywhere. Sauces, oils, fancy coffees, smoothies. It's very rarely the main meals that throw people off, particularly if they are health conscious and someone like yourself who's watching a video like this. It's the bits around the side that adds up to hundreds of extra calories every single day and thousands over the course of a week. So to reduce the probability that that's going to happen, just keep your meals simple. You want to have a protein source, a whole carb like rice or potato, and then plenty of veg. And a really good rule of thumb here is that the fewer ingredients that are in your food, the better. But if you've got a sweet tooth, like me, make sure that you're finding low-calorie swaps. Because whilst this is an aggressive plan, like I said, we don't want to starve yourself. We don't want to make this feel overly restrictive. And you can absolutely build in snacks and treats that you enjoy. You just need to be mindful and conscious that they're low-calorie. I'm talking things like the sugar-free jelly pots that are 5 calories, protein bars, low-calorie ice cream, dark chocolate, and even the 0-calorie fizzy drinks. A personal favorite of mine, if you haven't heard me say it before, is the Fanta Lemon Zero Sugar, because it is just, this is the stuff that makes you feel like you're cheating on your diet every single day. And that's so important because it restricts you from having to feel like you need to do the binge restrict cycle. So many people are looking at balance through the wrong lens. The 5 days on, 2 days off cycle will not get you anywhere. You want to look at balance through a wider perspective. 30 days is great, but being honest with you, what I normally recommend my clients do is look at this in seasons. 12 to 16 weeks of real focus on a singular goal. But that is a topic for another video. Next up is your sleep, which is the single most underrated fat loss tool, because a lack of sleep raises your hunger hormones, lowers your willpower, and overall just makes you a bit of a miserable kid. Now, I know that 9 hours is out of the question for most people, me included, but you don't need it. 7 hours of good quality sleep is just as good, if not better. How do we do that? Well, we go to bed at the same time, we wake up at the same time, and we keep our bedrooms cool, dark, and quiet. Now, if you need to bring in some interventions to help you do that, then an eye mask, some earplugs, a fan, blackout blinds, whatever you need to do. And then the last and the hardest, but potentially the most impactful thing that you can do is switch off all of these screens at least an hour before bed, because what they do is emit blue light. And it's the blue light that prevents the production of your melatonin, which is your sleep hormone. It's almost as bad, if not maybe worse, than drinking a coffee at 9 p.m. And if you need a little bit of a perspective shift, if you need an incentive to do this, think of it like this. Your next day really starts the night before. Because trust me, if you get your sleep right, everything else feels so much easier. And speaking of making things easier, I want you to hydrate like your life depends on it. Because in a way, it does. 3 to 4 liters of water every single day is going to keep you full, help your digestion, boost your workout performance, and even help you look leaner because you're not retaining water from feeling dehydrated. Yes, that is right. You do not bloat from drinking too much water. You bloat from dehydration. So keep drinking until your pee goes clear. Set reminders on your phone and just carry a bottle everywhere. Now, here is the glue that holds all of this together, and that's tracking. Because fat loss isn't a feeling, it's a formula. You want to track your calories, you want to track your macros, you want to track your steps, you want to track your sleep, you want to track how much water you're drinking, you want to be weighing yourself every single day, and you want to be taking progress photos every single week. Why? Because this is what keeps you sane. At the beginning, right now, before you start this, it feels easy. I'm telling you all the information, and the logical part of your brain is going, yeah, tick, tick, tick. I can do all of that, no problem. But trust me, when you are 2 or even 3 weeks in, the emotional part of your brain is going to be on overdrive. And throughout this process, even when you're doing absolutely everything right, your weight is not going to come down like this. There will be days where it bumps up, and there will be days where it drops right down. You'll even have days where you swear you've gained 3 pounds overnight, but you haven't even gone on the scales. But the trend over time is what's more important. And data takes the emotion out of the process. It keeps you logical, and logical people don't quit. And then finally, you want to make sure that you're reassessing after week 2. If your weight has stalled and you've been doing everything right and sticking to your deficit and hitting your steps and doing your workouts and getting your water and getting to bed on time, that's when you want to drop your calories by 100 to 200. Don't go crazy and feel like you have to rip up the whole plan or go super extreme, just 100 to 200 calories. Or if you prefer to, you can add an extra 1,000 or 2 steps per day. Pull whichever lever works better for you. If you are a bigger guy, it's probably going to be easier for you to drop your calories rather than try to add more activity in. Whereas if you are already on the leaner side, you don't want to drop your calories too much lower. You just want to increase your activity a little bit. But as I say, the real key is to not do anything drastic. If you have the data which shows you you're on the right path, if you're on the right trajectory, all you need to do is keep moving forward. And speaking of levers, remember that the biggest lever in all of this is your mindset. Because as I said, fat loss is not linear. The scales might stall because of water weight or stress, a bad night's sleep, or even how much salt is in your body. But none of those things mean that you're failing. Winners show up and do it anyway, even when they're tired, even when the scales aren't moving, and even when their head is messing with them. What did I tell you right at the start of this video? This isn't easy. So make sure that you anchor yourself to your why. Why is it so important for you to drop this 5%? Is it health? Is it confidence? Is it performance? Is it how your clothes fit? Whatever it is, hold on to that. Because the truth is, most guys won't even try this. And that is why they stay stuck. They're the ones who are busy typing away in the comments section. But you are not most guys. You're here. You're still watching this. And now you've got the game plan. And that is your edge. Now, quick reality check before we wrap up. Dropping 5% in 30 days is ambitious. For some guys, well, actually, for most guys, it is doable. For others, you might be pushing it. Let me explain. If you're sitting at 30 or 25% body fat, dropping to 25 or 20 is 100% realistic. You'll feel lighter. Well, you will be a lot lighter. Your clothes will fit better and you'll have a ton more confidence. But if you're already at 15% trying to get down to 10 in 30 days, well, that's a different animal. It's probably still possible. I can't say because I've never tried it myself, but it is definitely extreme. It's going to mean muscle loss. It's going to mean extremely hard diets. And there's a very good chance that you'd rebound after those 30 days. Now, I still feel completely confident putting this video out there because I know the vast majority of guys, in fact, the average man is at 28% body fat. And even if you are 15%, there's nothing wrong putting this plan into place. Will you lose 5% body fat? Probably not. But does it even matter? Again, like I said, it helps to build momentum, it helps to build consistency, and more importantly, it helps to give you that little bit of a kickstart that you need. The rule of thumb in the long term, which any guy can stick to, is to try to lose 1 to 2% body fat each month. But like I said, if you fall short, it isn't a failure. Maybe you lose 3% instead of 5%. Who cares? Because you're still ahead of where you were, and speed is less important than the direction you're going in. The hardest and the most important part is just starting, mate. The sad reality is that 50% of the guys who clicked on this video won't have even ever had the patience to stick around to the end. And of those of you who have, and I'm eternally grateful, by the way, only 10% of you will actually put this plan into place. Not because you're lazy and certainly not because you don't want it, but because you're busy and because life gets in the way. And because it's bloody hard to stay consistent with something like this if you're doing it by yourself. So if you want help putting all of this together into a plan that's personalized for you with structure, clarity, and most importantly, accountability, that is exactly what I'm here for. I help guys just like you get lean, strong, and confident again. So if you want the blueprint that actually fits your life, click the first link in the description. Either way, I really hope this video has given you the spark to take action.